Sometimes you look out at your garden, and your heart just sinks a little. You've poured so much love and hope into that patch of earth, dreaming of vibrant flowers and fresh vegetables for your family's table. But what you see are plants that just seem tired. Their leaves are a little yellow, their stems are thin, and they just don't have that spark of life you were hoping for. It's a feeling I know well. You do everything you think you're supposed to do, from watering just right to making sure they get plenty of sunshine. But the soil itself seems to be holding them back. The problem, more often than not, starts right under our feet. When soil is compacted, overworked, or simply depleted, it becomes a tough place for roots to grow strong. You might even be tempted to reach for a quick fix from a bottle, something that promises instant results. But in my heart, I always believe that the best solutions are the ones that work with nature, not against it. The earth has its own rhythms and its own ways of healing. Our job isn't to force things, but to gently guide and support that natural process, creating a foundation where life can flourish on its own terms. I remember standing in my own garden one season, feeling that exact sense of discouragement. My tomato plants were struggling, and the zinnias I'd planted with the kids just weren't popping with color. The soil looked like dry, pale dust, no matter how much I watered it. It was missing that rich, dark, crumbly texture that smells like a fresh spring rain. It was missing life. And that's when I realized the problem wasn't the plants themselves. It was the home I had given them. The secret I stumbled upon wasn't complicated or expensive. In fact, it was beautifully simple, rooted in a practice that has been used for centuries across the world, from the fertile river valleys of Asia to the terraced farms of South America. The technique is a form of cultivating indigenous microorganisms, or IMO for short. That might sound technical, but the idea is pure and simple. You gather the good microbes that are already thriving in a healthy, natural environment nearby, you give them a little food to help them multiply, and then you reintroduce them to your tired garden soil. Think of it like this. You're not inventing a cure, you're borrowing one from nature's own medicine cabinet. The strongest, most resilient microbes are the ones that have already adapted to your specific climate and your local environment. You can find them in the rich, dark, leafy soil at the base of old-growth trees in a forest or a wooded area that hasn't been disturbed. This soil, often called leaf mold, is humming with a diverse community of fungi, bacteria, and other microscopic life. This practice honors the deep wisdom of the land. Our ancestors knew that the forest floor was a place of immense fertility. They saw how life regenerated there without any human intervention. Getting started on this journey is one of the best parts, because it connects you to the world right outside your door. You don't need much, and everything required is simple and natural. The first and most important ingredient is your microbe source. This means taking a little walk to a nearby undisturbed wooded area. Look for a spot under large, mature trees where leaves have been decomposing for years. Gently brush away the top layer of fresh leaves to find the rich, dark, crumbly soil underneath. It should have a beautiful, earthy smell, and might even have fine white threads of mycelium running through it. You only need a couple of handfuls of this precious soil. Next, you'll need a simple carbohydrate to feed your new microbe friends and encourage them to multiply. The traditional and most effective food is plain, uncooked white rice. You'll want to cook it slightly on the firm side so the grains remain separate. Once it's cooked and has cooled down completely, it becomes the perfect bait for our microscopic helpers. The starch in the rice is a feast for the bacteria and fungi you've collected. You'll also need a container for your microbe collection. A simple wooden box or a bamboo basket works beautifully. The key is to use something breathable, as you want air to circulate. Avoid plastic or metal, as these materials can trap moisture and heat. Now comes the fun part, where we put all our simple ingredients together. It feels a bit like baking, but for the garden. First, take your cooked and cooled rice and place it in your breathable box. Don't pack it down, just fill the box about 2/3 full, leaving the rice light and fluffy. Once your rice is in the box, cover it with a sheet of paper or a thin cloth and secure it with a string or a rubber band. This will protect your rice from rain and curious animals. Next, take your box of rice to that beautiful, undisturbed spot in the woods you found earlier. Find a place where the rich, dark soil is abundant. Gently nestle your box into the ground, burying it about halfway. You want the surface of the rice to be in direct contact with that amazing forest floor soil. The indigenous microbes will sense the food source and migrate from the soil into the rice. Leave the box there for about 3 to 5 days. The timing depends on your climate. In warmer weather, it might be faster. you're looking for a fuzzy white mold to grow over the rice. This is the sign of success. Once your rice is covered in that beautiful white fuzz, that's your colony of beneficial microbes. It's time to bring it home. Now, we need to stabilize it. Carefully scrape all of the moldy rice into a larger container, like a big glass jar. For every part of colonized rice you have, you'll add an equal part of brown sugar or molasses. Gently mix it all together with your hands. The sugar will draw the moisture out of the rice and create a syrupy liquid, preserving the microbes in a dormant state. Seal the jar, but not too tightly. The mixture will begin to bubble and ferment as the microbes consume the sugar. Let it sit in a cool, dark place for about a week. After a week, the bubbling will slow down, and you'll be left with a sweet, slightly alcoholic-smelling liquid. This is your finished IMO, your concentrated soil superfood. This ancient trick is so powerful because it fundamentally changes the very structure and biology of your garden soil. When you introduce this diverse community of indigenous microorganisms, you are essentially hiring a microscopic construction crew. These tiny helpers get to work immediately, binding small soil particles together into larger aggregates. This process creates what gardeners call good tilth. It means your soil becomes more crumbly and porous, filled with tiny pockets that can hold both air and water. This is crucial for healthy root development, as roots need oxygen to breathe and grow strong. Each step in the process is designed to select for and multiply the most beneficial organisms. Furthermore, this living solution kickstarts the soil's natural nutrient cycle. Plants can't just absorb nutrients from the soil directly. They rely on microbes to act as intermediaries. These microorganisms consume organic matter, like compost or mulch, and break it down, converting complex nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus into simpler forms that plant roots can easily absorb. Adding this microbial brew is like turning on the lights in the soil's kitchen. Suddenly, all the raw ingredients you've added through compost are being cooked and served up to your plants in a delicious, digestible meal. This process also builds a more resilient garden ecosystem. A soil rich in diverse, beneficial microbes is less hospitable to pathogens and pests. The good guys outcompete the bad guys for space and resources, creating a natural shield of protection around your plant's roots. After all the gathering, mixing, and waiting, the time finally comes to share this gift with your garden. To use your new soil superfood, you'll want to dilute it with water. The concentrate is incredibly potent, so a little goes a long way. The general rule is to mix about 1 tablespoon of the liquid IMO into a gallon of water. I remember the first time I used it. I took my watering can filled with the diluted mixture and went out to my sad little patch of tomatoes and zinnias. I watered the soil around the base of each plant, giving them a good deep drink of this living elixir. I wasn't just watering them, I was inoculating the soil, introducing that vibrant forest life to my backyard. The change was astonishingly fast. Within just a few days, I noticed a subtle shift. The leaves on my tomato plants seemed to stand a little taller, and their color deepened from a pale yellowish green to a rich, healthy emerald. The soil itself looked different. It was darker, and when I touched it, it felt more moist and crumbly. After a week, the transformation was undeniable. New growth was sprouting from the stems, and the zinnia buds, which had been stalled for weeks, were beginning to swell and show hints of pink and orange. The whole garden bed just looked alive. It was a powerful reminder that sometimes the most profound changes come from the smallest things. We can't see the microbes with our eyes, but we can certainly see their work. The garden was revitalized, not by a harsh chemical stimulant, but by restoring its natural biological foundation. The plants weren't just surviving anymore, they were thriving. They had the support of a bustling underground community, working around the clock to bring them everything they needed. It was a beautiful testament to the power of working with nature. Bringing your soil back to life with this ancient trick is a wonderful first step, but the journey to a healthy garden is an ongoing relationship. Once you've reintroduced this vibrant microbial community, the key is to create an environment where they will continue to thrive season after season. The most important thing you can do is to keep feeding them. A thick layer of mulch is one of the best ways to do this. Mulching with materials like wood chips, shredded leaves, straw, or grass clippings does so many good things for your soil. It protects the surface from the harsh sun, which helps keep the soil cool and moist. Perfect conditions for microbes. As the mulch slowly breaks down, it provides a steady food source for the fungi and bacteria in your soil, keeping their populations strong and active. It also suppresses weeds and prevents soil compaction from heavy rains. Another key principle is to disturb the soil as little as possible. Traditional tilling and excessive digging can be very destructive to the delicate soil structure and the fungal networks that your microbes have worked so hard to build. These networks, known as mycelium, are like the internet of the soil, transporting nutrients and water between plants. Instead, try practicing no-dig or minimal-dig gardening. When you need to plant, just part the mulch, make a small hole for your seedling, and then tuck the mulch back in around it. Finally, avoid using synthetic fertilizers and pesticides at all costs. These chemical inputs can be devastating to your soil's microbial life. By focusing on building healthy soil, you create strong plants that are naturally more resistant to pests and diseases. This journey is about fostering life, not fighting it. Trust in the process, feed your soil, and your garden will reward you with abundance for years to come. Remember, you're not just growing plants. You're cultivating a living ecosystem that will sustain and nourish your garden naturally, just as our ancestors intended.